How are they getting the traffic to get people on these wait lists?
It's never been easier. A quarter-page ad in a newspaper lasted for one day and it was $8,000 back then. You could start a fresh account today and just start talking about coffee beans, and anyone who's interested in coffee beans is going to start seeing that. I'm a multimillionaire from posting every day. When I'm working with businesses, so they're just not sure what to do. So they're problem aware but not solution aware. So you've got to radically empathize. What's it like to be in my client's shoes? I actually think that more intelligence is a good thing. Billions of people are going to have access to all sorts of intelligence that previously they never had access to. We're going to level up as a humanity. It's just working very differently. Rather than thinking of work as work, it's like think of work as conjuring cool stuff into the world.
Every business wants more leads. So who better to talk to than the co-founder of ScoreApp himself, Mr. Daniel Priestley.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, long time no see. I think last time I saw you was at the book launch of Business Lifestyle.
Yeah, we were doing the book launch, and before that, you'd paid a fortune to come and have lunch with me.
I know, and I picked up the bill as well.
You donated a fortune to be, it went all to charity.
Yeah, it did. It was actually a very, very good day, and it's been very lucrative for us from that. So today, I don't really want to be going through anything pre-ScoreApp. Today is all about how ScoreApp came about, how you grew it, where did it come from, what was the idea, and kind of how it's going.
So the origin story of ScoreApp is that I had a book called Key Person of Influence, and we had a training program or an accelerator program off the back of Key Person of Influence. And what I did is inside the book, I had a link to an online assessment, and you'd read the book, you'd take the online assessment, and then you'd talk to the team. And this really blew up. This whole strategy went really well. So over the course of a few years, we got 90,000 people who filled in the online assessment. We made 20 million worth of sales. And it was just a really great way to win clients. We'd give away books at events. They'd read the book, they'd take the assessment, they'd talk to my team, they'd sign up to do the accelerator, and the business really grew as a result. The thing that we discovered is that when we talk to someone who's filled in an online assessment, we have this cheat sheet as to everything that they are doing that is great, everything they want to improve upon, and we get straight into a good conversation. There's no fluff. So rather than starting a conversation with tell me a bit about yourself, you would start the conversation with I can see you're really good at partnerships, but you're not so great at pitching. Let's talk about those two things to open up with, and then bang, you're in the conversation. So this was just a key to growing the business. Now, what happened for me is because I work with a lot of successful entrepreneurs with that business, several of them clocked what we were doing, and they said, I want one of those. I want one of those online assessments. So we built the DJ scorecard. We built a life coaching scorecard. So we just started doing one every month for a client. We would have to build them on WordPress, and we'd have to code them up and write all the content, landing pages, quiz questions, dynamic results, email follow-up sequences. And it would basically take about 4 weeks to do, and we would charge anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000 to put together one online scorecard. And every single time, without exception, home run. So people would generate a lot of leads, and then they would also say the same thing, which is not just leads, but sales. These leads turn into the best sales we've ever had. Mm-hmm. So then around 2019, I started talking to Steve, who was basically building the scorecards, and said, why don't we automate this? Why don't we build a platform? Steve was pumped to create a product. He'd been wanting to build a SaaS. We felt like we'd discovered something of great value to entrepreneurs. Lots of people wanted it. So in 2020, we launched with ScoreApp and basically launched a platform that built landing pages, quiz question, dynamic results, and follow-up. Mm-hmm. That went really, really well for the next few years. And then AI came along and took it from a few hours to a few minutes for setting these up.
When you were saying that you were making them, I'm assuming this is for Dent back in the day when you were doing these.
Yeah, Key Person of Influence Accelerator, Dent.
And what was it like when you first had that, was you actually doing it for yourself first? When you did the quizzes and you were asking the questions, and it kind of evolved in? Because when I always think about ScoreApp now, when you look at it, it's unbelievable. I mean, even when we started using it 3-4 years ago to where it is now, it's like head and shoulders different to where it was. Obviously, Typeform's been around for a long time, WordPress, and the idea of quizzes, go compare, things like that. What was it that you found that was so different, and why was it working so well?
Typeform, Google Forms, all of those, that focuses on the questions, but it doesn't focus on the fact that people don't know why they're doing the questions in the first place. So the first thing you need is a landing page that actually tells people exactly why they should fill this in. If Typeform is great, if you've got a group of mates who want to go on a ski trip together and you basically say, can everyone fill this in so that we've got all the details and information? And you fill in like 10 questions and then it just says, thank you. Yeah. Right. So that's fine. But the benefit of a scorecard is that you fill it in and get an immediate custom result. Like you actually get custom recommendations. It tells you something about yourself. That's the tricky part, right? So Typeform doesn't do anything really like that automatically. For us, I built several of these and they were all for myself. I did the 24 assets assessment, so a business assessment for 24 assets. I did the oversubscribed campaign assessment. I did the key person of influence assessment, and just each one of them just generated leads on autopilot.
I think where a lot of the times when I speak to people who are trying to use ScoreApp for the first time, and not even ScoreApp, if I'm trying to take people onto ScoreApp, they're being told everywhere now. Alex Hormozy made it big, which is you need to give things away for free. And a lot of businesses turn around and go, I don't sell hats. I can't give them a free hat or pens or mugs or things like that. And I know we've really had success with the idea of giving the scorecard as the thing for free. And a lot of the time when I'm sitting there, we're a partner of ScoreApp. We speak to some of your great clients and we help, blow them up. And the thing that I always say to them is the goal of the assessment is that even if they never speak to you again, they walk away feeling like they've got a load of value.
That's it.
Because then what will happen is down the road, when that problem becomes so painful and they're like, right, I need to fix it now, they're going to go back and go, okay, it was this company who ranked how much of a key person of influence I am. I've got a few checklists now. We always say that the best thing that can happen is they take your scorecard, they get some advice and it works for them.
Yeah, I don't like the word marketing funnels personally, because funnel kind of like implies that you're having to push people towards a thing they don't really want to do and push them towards a decision. I like the idea, I know it sounds naff, but I like the idea of marketing playgrounds. Marketing playground means that there's something that's great fun to do, you enjoy that thing, it's a standalone value, and you're just marketing something that is free and fun and is great. And my belief is that if people have several positive experiences with you, they'll buy. They're getting value, they're going to buy something because they go back to where they got value from. So I really like that. Alex Hormozy, if you go to his landing page, it is an online assessment. So he actually says, answer these questions and we'll give you a score as to whether we would acquire you at acquisitions.com. So that is the main call to action on the front of his landing page.
Yeah. I've seen the scaling roadmap that he does as well, which is essentially where it's genius because what the businesses do, they jump on there, it's like, right, here's your scaling roadmap. Put in where you are, how much revenue you've got, where you are in the business. And you're there like, okay, I'm on a scale of 1 to 5. My business is in between 2 and 3. So for the people filling it in, we're going, wow, look at all this value. For him, he's basically he's fishing, going, okay, that business looks great. That business looks great. We'll have that one. We'll have that one. And it's just so.
I also has a product or service for every stage of the roadmap. So if you come in stage 1 to 2, well, then I'll send you some books. If you come in stage 3 to 5, come along to the boot camp.
Yeah. And I think that where a lot of businesses will then get confused is they're being told, one niche, one offer. So how come, entrepreneurs like yourself or those who are leading in like the creating content will then, have something for everyone. But I think what businesses do really well with scorecards is they qualify straight away. And the ones who, what you're saying there, like even for a business which is like a medium size, even if they've only got one real offer, they still then got a group of people who will eventually hit that target.
I think people misunderstand this idea of one niche, one offer. It's extremely hard to basically capture someone's attention and then get them to buy something. Like that just almost never works. It's almost always you have to capture their attention, get them to commit to education or some form of signal of interest, and then educate, entertain, build up some trust, and then they'll buy something. So by the way, 25 years ago when I first launched my first company, we had an ad in the newspaper, and then people would come to a 2-hour event that we would run every Wednesday night. And then off the back of that, we would just collect leads and signals of interest now that they had some education and entertainment. And then we would follow up and call everyone through the following week, and we'd make 20, 30,000 worth of sales. And it was just, so it was actually kind of one offer, but it was a mid-step in the way. So in my language, I call this a product for prospects followed by a core offering. So you market the product for prospects. You never market the core offering. You always market the product for prospects. And then the product for prospects takes them through. So my favorite product for prospects is an assessment or an introduction workshop, a mini course, a discussion group. Those are the types of things that I feel like first get a mini commitment to do something free, get them registered for that. And then you've got a mini commitment. You can then educate, entertain, discuss, and then present a core offer. From that initial product for prospects, yeah, sure, I think have one very focused offer.
Yeah.
And also the caveat on this is a good strategy for getting for your first million, right? So like getting your first 20 grand a week. You don't want a lot of complexity to come in. So you say, okay, 20 grand a week, I want to do 5 4 grand sales. So it's like, I'm going to put as much attention into creating a really great offer around 4 grand, and I'm going to do a sale a day. And it's like, okay, if I can do a sale a day, I'm going to do 20 grand a week. That's about $1 million a year run rate. It's like, okay, great. Once you get to $1 million, you need a gold, silver, bronze version. You need a few product for prospects. You might have a 4 grand, 10 grand, and 20 grand version.
That's exactly what you told us.
Yeah,
and it blew our mind when we first actually implemented that. We had one price point, and we had nothing else. We had one price point. You was like, you need something that's going to be 5 times more expensive. And I remember the question that I asked you was, we haven't got anything to sell that's 5 times more expensive. And your reply to me was, when you get the money, you'll figure out what to supply them. And I remember we was on a sales call, and it was clear from the scorecard, as in we follow the scorecard process. They had budget and they had pain. And then from that, we call it adaptive pricing. I might have stolen that from someone, but it's very adaptive and custom. When you have we're going to get into the scorecard cheat sheets later, but when you do have these assessments and you can see so much data, like before with, opt-in forms and things like that, you have a phone number, you have an email address. With the data you can get on these scorecards allows you to be so,
in your case, you could see they had a problem and they had budget.
Exactly. Problem of budget.
What was your initial offer? How much was it?
We were charging about £3,500 a month pounds.
Okay. And then, so 3.5 grand a month was your standard offer, which is still pretty good meaty offer, 40 grand a year type thing. And then what was the company that was the bigger one? How much were they comfortable with?
They were comfortable about 12,500.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, the equivalent of 2 or 3 sales in one hit. Great.
And obviously, as everyone knows, the clients who pay the most are the easiest to deal with.
Aren't they? Yeah.
But what was actually really interesting you said there before that was about when you were doing these, when you were actually building the initial assessments, before ScoreApp was even a thing, you had then, and you were, paying 8 to 15,000 for these assessments. It sounds so painfully unscalable. So painfully unscalable. And I think that when you're trying to get those, proof of concepts that you had, is that if you were sitting there now and you said, oh, by the way, you're going to have to build these assessments, they're going to take 4 weeks to spin out, compared to now, which is you can make a good scorecard in 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, exactly. And I think going through that process of the unscalable stuff is so important, just to get the concept. And then it's like, okay, because on the outside, you've turned a 8 to 15 grand product into a $50
a month, yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Now you've got how many customers? I think
over 10,000 paying customers, 150,000 free accounts.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It's obviously a great product. When you were building it, what was like the first time that you thought, okay, like you were successful before 2019? I don't think you were obviously at the heights that you've hit now. So what was that like eureka, like, okay, this could be something we dreamt of?
I'm trying to think if there was a particular moment, but look, you mentioned about doing unscalable things at the beginning, and I'm a big believer in that. So like in the first few months of ScoreApp, signing people, I think our very first package was $29 a month because we were doing a discount for early first starters because the platform wasn't fully developed. And we were going to lose money on $29 a month because we were going to spend at least $500 on the client setting them up, just like helping them and hand-holding them. So in the early days of ScoreApp, I would sit down and have a face-to-face hour with every single new customer who was going to be paying $29 a month. Now, bear in mind, at that particular time, I was getting paid when I was giving a keynote speech. I was getting $2,000 to $4,000 to give a keynote, and I'm sitting down having an hour one-to-one with someone in a boardroom that I'm paying $500 a day for, to have a 1 hour conversation for someone who's going to be spending $29 a month, and then we would go through their scorecard plan, and we would like map out their landing page and their questions, and we'd do all of that, and then I would show them how to put this onto the platform. And like totally unscalable. And then we would also, get on the phone and actually do it all for them and just get them set up. Because we just wanted to see how people react to it and like what they get stuck on and, what's easy and all that.
Yeah, when you're speaking to customers, like they're going to tell you straight away, like, this isn't going to work for me. And it almost, when you're a smaller, the data you're going to get back of like, this doesn't work. Like they don't know how to do this. What's a metapixel? Things like that is really key to them when you're building the AI stuff.
I remember, so the eureka moment was when I started seeing clients setting themselves up who we'd never spoken to.
Yeah.
That was amazing. There was a couple of days early on, probably towards the end of year one, where we might have signed up 24 free accounts in a day. And it was like, wow, we're doing one an hour, like 24 in a day. Like we're averaging one.
Is this from ads?
Could have been from ads, could have been from referrals, combination of all of that. But it was like, and one person an hour is signing up to ScoreApp, and these were just free accounts. So probably 2 or 3 of those would turn into paid. But it was like, wow, okay, this is pretty cool. And I remember Steve saying, "Oh, here's an example of someone who set themselves up, and we've never spoken to them. They've gone on, created a free account, upgraded to a paid account, set themselves up, and now look, they're getting hundreds of leads a month." And I'm like, wow, like someone's getting hundreds of leads a month and we've never touched that client. We don't know who they are or what they, only what we can see. That was like a eureka moment, just seeing that that's possible.
Yeah, I think definitely it's obviously got so much easier to build them.
And for context now, we often sign up 10 an hour, like as in just a normal flow.
As I said earlier, every time you go on Diary of a CEO, we get about 1 million partner requests to people who do have a go at it, and they're like, right, we need to, we want to pay someone to build it for us. But I definitely think that as the products got more like technologically advanced, there are more, the teething issues that we now see are actually pre and post, because the scorecard itself, you've made it so easy. Yeah. But how can we then connect it to, active campaign, or what can we actually do with it? So I really think like the next problems and the next stages that we are going to start seeing with scorecards is going to be the fact that people are now rushing them a little bit to get them live. But it's also important that it works for them. So it's almost like if someone goes onto the starter plan, they build a scorecard, it's a 3 out of 10. They get 5 leads. It's like, okay, how can we now optimize? Are you seeing like a big, what's like your conversion rates like from going from a starter plan?
Yeah, look, one thing that frustrates me about the AI is that because it is so easy to put something together, people will spend 5 minutes on it, launch it, and then go, oh, okay, like it didn't massively perform. It's like you've spent 5 minutes on it.
But because it looks good in their brain, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's like,
and that's me, by the way. That's I don't build our scorecards because I would spend 5 minutes on it and go, right, this thing's rubbish.
Like the funny thing I think with people is it's like if you spend 5 minutes cooking a meal, you wouldn't expect it to be the most amazing meal. And also, if you went into a burger restaurant and it took less than 5 minutes to walk in, get your order, and walk out, you wouldn't expect it to be an amazing meal. So like AI is the fast food of, like it's the fast food of marketing. It's fast, but if you want something to be extraordinary, AI is really good at doing slightly above average. Like it gives you the starting point of being above average because it's essentially drawing from so much content that like you need to put your own personality into it. So like I say to people, use the AI to create version 1 just to see it up and running, but then upload a photo of yourself and your bio, upload a video of you explaining what they're going to get, come up with some bonuses when they take the scorecard, like put just a little bit of ounce of creativity in it, 15, 20 minutes of creativity, and you'll go to the next level. You'll go from 5 leads to 15 leads just with that little bit of extra creativity.
The number 1 ROI thing that I would recommend anyone who's using ScoreApp to do, if they've got a complex business sale. Let's say they're not like a coach or consultant. They've got a proper B2B, relatively complex. The number one ROI thing I would do is call them up after they've completed it, as naive as possible. Be like, "Hi Dan, it's Mitch here from Leader. We've done our assessment. Just want to know if you wanted us to walk you through your results." And I'm not a sales guy, as in, disarm them. I'm not a sales guy. You'll talk to someone, they're an expert in what you do. They'll walk you through the results. We did that for a foreign exchange company, and we actually sent the emails out with the scorecards on. I think I showed them before. So what our plan was, we would email them out, and the subject would be free cupcakes. And we were basically saying, if you filled in this scorecard, we would send you 10 free cupcakes to your office as an incentive for filling it in.
Nice.
We'd then call them up after and be like, "Look, thanks for completing it. What's the address for the cupcakes? I'll send them now. By the way, do you want an expert to run you through your results?"
Awesome.
We then stopped putting the cupcakes thing, and our results started tanking. And we were like, what's happened? Like, what's going on? What's going on with the results? It was just the incentive of doing
People
that.
are so simple. How much were the cupcakes?
I think like 50 pounds.
£50 for nice high-end cupcakes. Yeah, and for the right sale.
It's 12 to 15,000 a year.
Do you know what's funny? There are certain things corporates can and can't accept. They can accept a gift of a book. Like, you can send them a book. You can send them cupcakes. So cupcakes in a book.
It was crazy when we were going through the results. Like, our completions are down. What is it? It was just that incentivization. But the naive sales call to go through to get them onto it.
Yeah.
Because the problem with cold calling these days is that obviously it's so saturated, and everyone's but even cold calling to a quiz.
Yeah.
And we're going to get on to, later about how we actually can get traffic to these scorecards.
Well, this is not cold calling. Cold calling is cold calling. This is a warm follow-up. You filled in the online scorecard, you filled in the assessment. One of the best things I like is the seesaw technique, which is to tell them their highest score and their lowest score, right? The seesaw. So just when you pick up the phone, say, "Mitch, you filled in the online assessment for key person of influence about your personal brand. Your highest score was for pitching and your lowest score was for productization. Do you want me to take you through a little bit of information about how you can improve those?" And just saying your highest was this and your lowest was this,
You disarm them, because there's no sales thing I'm trying to get you to,
and you've triggered so much curiosity, because it's like, ooh, excitement, dopamine, I did something right. Ooh, a bit of embarrassment. There's one that was low.
And they've seen it.
Suddenly,
And they've seen it. It's different to them filling it in, not seeing the results page.
Yeah.
You just call them up, being like, "By the way, we did our assessment. You're not very good at this, by the way." So seeing that actually down there is, I think a lot of people are scared now to make calls. I think the generation, even my generation and the generation coming after, they don't want to interact with people. They just want to email and they want to WhatsApp and things like that.
I know. You got to remember, the generation above, they're quite happy to get a call
all day,
and no one calls.
Yeah. All day. Where do you obviously hit 10,000 paying members? Where do you think ScoreApp can go from here? What do you think is the next? Not even in terms of revenue or in terms of users. Like, where do you see this going?
So the actual original name for the project was hyper-targeted marketing, and the idea was that marketing campaigns at scale, but each campaign targets one person, right? So that whatever you see is different to whatever I see. So the whole vision was that marketing will become extremely customized and targeted in the same way that you see a different Spotify landing page than what I see, and you go onto Amazon and it's completely different to what I'm seeing. So it was that hyper-targeted idea that marketing campaigns would essentially morph. I think with AI, what we're going to see is something like you fill in an assessment and then all the follow-up becomes that. So what I think we're going to see is we'll probably partner with one of the AI voice appointment setters. So you'll get a phone call and it'll be an online voice appointment setter that talks to you, and it'll be great. Like, it'll actually talk to you about your results and all that sort of stuff. It'll do a really good job for pennies.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to see is custom built PDFs that kind of follow up with great PDFs and checklists. All the emails will be custom built just for you based on that. The other thing that we'll see is just a better use of the data. So every time you collect 30 to 100 new leads, we can crunch the data and tell you so much rich information about your ideal customer persona and their biggest problems, the things that are trending at the moment around that persona, things that are in culture at the moment that you should be talking about. So we can actually just bring all of that together. In addition, as soon as we've got full name and email, AI can do a deep dive into this is what this person's been talking about. So on Twitter, this person is very active on LinkedIn and they're always talking about this topic. So like all of that can just spring to life as soon as we've got a little bit of information.
What the task I've set myself at the moment for our marketing is I want to be able to, if we're using Claude, and I know we've spoken about AI and we're both very excited about how we can use it because it's unbelievable. But the concept that I currently have is that we get these assessments out there especially when we use paid ads. If we're going for like a email campaigns, it's a little bit different because we choose the ICP before. But if we go for paid ads and we get people into it, once we have that initial data, we then can start building, I can probably remember 100 names. Claude can, remember 1 million names. It can remember where their birthday is. Yep. It can remember what day did they start the company. It can go searching in company accounts on Companies House to be like, okay, they've got this, in assets, or they're
a director of these 3 companies. They're an angel investor in this one.
Exactly. And we can start building these profiles, but we haven't got name and email because they've opted in on a Facebook page. We've now got everything. We can now start doing these hyper-targeted campaigns to these people, and we're building out these ideal customers now, but the data is 1 million times better than what it was. And it's almost like when you've then got your offers and you've got your 3, you've got your bronze, gold and silver, can we target that person? If I'm targeting you, there's no point me showing you a testimonial of someone who's just started.
No.
If I'm trying to sell you something, there's no point me showing you that because you're way past that. If I showed you a testimonial of what Stephen Bartlett's just done and he's, an advocate for what I do, you'd be like, okay, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
You can't do that unless, you're on YouTube, you're making content, but there's entrepreneurs more successful than you and similar to you who aren't in those places.
Yeah.
So if you can go and get that data, create unbelievable workflows in AI and then
that's the new mindset of AI. The AI mindset is you almost have to imagine if you had unlimited amounts of labor, like if you had just unlimited number, like you've got 1,000 graduates who want to work for free and there's no limit to them. And you could literally say for every single lead that comes in, research them, come up with marketing campaigns and scripts just for them, create the perfect, figure everything out about them and create the perfect offer for them. That's possible with AI now. Yeah, so we're living in a different mindset.
So with the first users of ScoreApp, was there any patterns that you noticed that surprised you when you're looking at the data?
Yeah, pretty early on, people used it for other things that we weren't expecting. So we built it for online assessments, but we saw people using it to create discussion groups on Facebook where you would actually fill in the scorecard in order to get access to a discussion group. And all same sort of thing with mini courses. So people were embedding a whole mini course in the back. One thing that we saw, which was really cool, is that the mini course would change based on how people would answer. So for example, like a fitness mini course, answer 12 questions, and then you'll get the mini course that is perfect for your level of fitness. And based on how they scored, they had different versions of videos embedded in the back. I thought that was really cool, and I hadn't expected to see an actual mini course set up inside the results page. And then the big one that kind of really took off was waitlists. So we started using our own platform to just launch waitlists for new features, where people would opt in to a waitlist, and essentially they're not getting a score, they're not getting an online assessment. They're just opting in for a waitlist, but they're answering 5 or 6, 7 questions to get access to the waitlist. And that was unbelievable because you could get the pricing data, you could get the biggest pain point, the biggest outcome they're trying to achieve, what they've tried in the past that didn't work. So you capture all this relevant data and you build a waitlist of 5,000, 6,000 people before you've even launched. Was really cool.
I think waitlists are if I had to kind of sum up the biggest thing that I've learned from your content, it is waitlists. And you're so skeptical when you want to do these things because it's like, why would I want to put people off? I'm ready. I want their money now. Why do you think it works so well?
It's a micro commitment. So rather than having to commit to something, people don't like committing to stuff. They like micro commitments to stuff. People want what they can't have, and people like to warm up to purchases.
Yeah.
So look, you're wearing a nice Rolex, right? Rolex are very famous that their sales took off when they told you you can't have a Rolex. You have to go on the wait list for the Rolex that you want. It takes 3, 6, 9, 12 months to actually go through and get it. And it was, this was just the thing. People want what they can't have, especially wealthy people. They're never told no. And when they're told, sorry, you can't have it today, then it feels more exciting when they can actually have it.
Do you think they then make more rash purchases because it's like that, oh my God, my window is open?
Well, they make the purchase. I don't necessarily think it's rushed or rash. It's more that they're warm to it. So they've done that, but by the time you've joined the waitlist, you've made the micro commitment, and then you go through and do a little bit more warming up. For example, there was a particular guitar that I wanted years ago, and you couldn't get it. You had to kind of pre-order it and you had to join a waitlist to be on for it. And the more I researched that guitar, the more I was like, I can't wait to actually go ahead and get it. Everything about it is exactly what I want. And there's a risk that I researched it and discovered that it's not what I want and I want something else. But actually making a micro commitment and then doing the research was like confirmation. Yeah, I definitely want to get this.
And you have so much time then to educate them.
Yeah. They've opted in essentially for education, entertainment. Recently, I've launched a new business and we got 5,500 people on the wait list. And then we said, we're only taking a cohort of 1,000.
To join. I was too late.
It took 3 days and 1,000 people had signed up, and then that was it. You couldn't get on. And we did that deliberately to take an initial cohort of 1,000 through the product.
Okay. So it's almost like that staggered launch date.
Yeah.
As opposed to drip feeding.
Well, yeah, because what we wanted 1,000 people who were starting with the product all at once, so we could take them through a guided process of getting the most out of the product, and we could see where people fell off.
It gets crazy. I think the two biggest obviously watches are massive, but the new one is always golf clubs. If you want to join a golf club, 5-year wait list, 8-year wait list.
Yeah,
I'm on one. I think the wait list is 3 years, and I know that every time I drive past it, that's gonna be me one day. That's gonna be me one day. And then when that day comes, it doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Same for cars. Cars have become a big one. Porsches, you go on a wait list. Ferraris, you go on a wait list.
Yeah. But how do you, I think a lot of people, let's say they're more, starting out. How are they getting the traffic to get people on these wait lists?
So the reality with traffic is that it's never been easier, because it used to be that you had either paid traffic, which was just paying for ads, or you had to go networking. You had to literally go out and spend your enormous amounts of time trying to meet people and all of that sort of stuff. You might get lucky and meet someone who's willing to do an email swap or something like that. And then a few years ago, social media became algorithmic media. And basically when social media first started out, the only way for people to see your stuff was they had to be your friend. So I wouldn't see, if we weren't friends on Facebook, I would never see your posts. If I wasn't subscribed to your YouTube channel, I just wouldn't see your YouTube videos, or very rarely would I see your YouTube channel.
I might get one shot of it coming across your feed.
Yeah.
And if you don't click on it, I'm gone.
That's it. And also a lot of the page one of YouTube was the most trending videos of the day. So it wasn't even algorithmically, it was just whatever was popular. So it was the popular trending videos. Then a few years ago, they said, oh, actually, we can actually algorithmically figure out what you're interested in and just start showing you more of that. The transformation is unbelievable, that you could start a fresh account today and just start talking about coffee beans. And anyone who's interested in coffee beans is going to start seeing that.
It's really, really, because again, I talk about this quite a lot. And the example I always give is the elections. So in America, a couple of years ago, Trump got in, and my girlfriend's American. She's more of a liberal than she is Republican. She could not fathom the idea that he was going to win, because all of the algorithm she was getting shown was, she's in, 100% in, 100% in. Yeah. And when it happened, I was, she was in tears, and I was like, did you not see this coming?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I promise you, on my life, I thought it was coming. And it's just that algorithm. That's a good example I always give.
You are in the algorithmic bubble. And so it really annoys me when people say, oh, how do I get traffic? It's like, you post every day on social media and you just talk about what it is you do. And it's like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. And it's like, okay, then pay.
Yeah.
You pay for ads. And it's funny for me, because my whole background when I first started my business was paying for newspaper ads. So a quarter-page ad in a newspaper lasted for one day, and it was $8,000 back then. and you either got that right or wrong. There was no testing headlines. A test was $8,000. Like a quarter page ad was $8,000. And you ran that every single week. So the way to build your business was spend $8,000 every week.
Yeah. That if it doesn't work, or I got a spelling mistake, we'll come back the week after.
Yeah, exactly. And there was no, like, it sticks around on the internet. Like when you put content up, there was no snowball effect. It was just, you just pay, and then tomorrow's newspaper is different. So you either pay or you somehow get some earned media. Now, back then, if you wanted to get earned media, if you wanted to be actually featured in the paper, you had to hire a PR agency for $30,000, and then they would write stories and try and submit them. And you might get a little bit of a half-page story, maybe, and it was typically off-topic anyway. Anyway, I can't believe my luck that I can post every day. People are like, oh, I see you posting every day. That must be exhausting. It's like, it's not exhausting. It's like, it's creating massive growth. It's like I'm a multimillionaire from posting every day.
Exactly.
Like,
and I think
crazy
that business owners, they don't want to be in the weeds coding and dealing with, they just want to be talking about their business. And you can tell because you're so passionate about, key person of influence and general marketing. And I can even tell talking to you, you just love talking about it. And I think that's what business owners want to do. And that's like the dream position is, I saw James Smith do a post on this. And he's like, I've got YouTube videos that I did 2 years ago that come out now and I make 8,000 from it. And it's like, that's a bank of media that then comes, out.
It's wild. Yeah.
I saw he was using a scorecard the other day. And I think that's going to, I think now the other big entrepreneur, it must be, inspiring for you.
Also, the craziest thing is YouTube. Because YouTube, if you get any traction whatsoever, YouTube starts paying you. So like what blows my mind is that my YouTube channel makes $3,000 to $4,000 a month of just AdSense revenue. I'm getting paid $1,000 a week to put videos on YouTube. I would pay $1,000 a week to put videos on YouTube. If YouTube came out with a plan and said, look, we're canceling anyone's ability to upload unless you pay $50,000 a year, I'd be the first one to sign up for that. And instead they're paying me $50,000 a year. It's like insane. But so many business owners, they just honestly, they just expect it to just magically show up. And it's like, I wish people could have been around 25 years ago and experienced just how hard it was and how expensive it was and how easy it is now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I've obviously started making content this, while we're doing this video, and I did one video, got 16,000 views. We would have made well over 150 grand from that one video alone.
That's wild. Like, consider you just got paid pretty much what a Hollywood actor gets paid.
Yeah.
to do a video
in my bedroom studio. Yeah. Which took me 25 minutes.
Didn't even have to put on shoes.
No, I was actually wearing shorts and then my black t-shirt. So let's move on to the actual scorecard. And I think a lot of people, they've got their business. They obviously they want to use ScoreApp, and we speak a lot with users of ScoreApp who haven't quite hit that level yet. They want to use. They're seeing Dan do it. They're seeing Ali Abdul do it. They're seeing Chris William do it. James Smith's using it. What sort of scorecards do they have to be making? Like, what would you decide? And if you looked at a business, like, what is it that's going to be the right thing?
The thing is, start with the assumption that people are problem aware, not solution aware. So they're basically experiencing some sort of a problem, but they're not quite sure how to solve it. That's my starting assumption. So give me, like, if we take a niche like weight loss, they're annoyed that they're carrying extra weight. They're not sure whether they should try Ozempic. They're not sure whether they should join the gym. They're not sure whether they should try some latest, greatest ice bath and sauna routine, right? So they're just not sure what to do. So they're problem aware, but not solution aware. So a scorecard is a really great way to diagnose the problem and make a suggestion around what would be a best practice for solving it. So essentially, that's the kind of idea. One thing that a lot of people do is they don't practice what I would call radical empathy. Radical empathy is, what does it feel like to be that person at the moment? Now, if I'm a fitness trainer who goes to the gym every single day and I've always been into fitness and I love fitness and I've never struggled with fitness, I have to stop thinking that way and go, what's it like to be in my client's shoes? They struggle with it. They don't like it. They don't go every day. They've always been frustrated. They put on their gym clothes and they feel a bit stupid. So you've got to radically empathize. You've got to get back into that.
Find the pain that your prospects are feeling.
Yeah.
So in the fitness thing, it might not be that they want to go do a Hyrox, or they might not want to be, have a six pack. They just want to be able to carry their grandchildren up the stairs at night.
Could be that.
And that's the pain that goes out on the traffic.
And remember what it's like not to know. Remember what it's like to not know what Hyrox even is. Remember what it's like not to know even whether you should, do cardio or weights, right? You just don't know. So you've got to try and remember what it's like not to know. If you're a business coach, right, remember what it's like to be, completely clueless when it comes to how do I grow my business.
So do you think that the biggest problem that businesses, I'm mainly talking about B2B here, but obviously it does go to B2C as well. Do you think the biggest problem with their scorecards is that they do it around their solution?
Yes.
Not the pain.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they connect. They try and meet customers where they wish the customer was, not where the customer is.
So let's take the fitness example.
Yeah.
If the scorecard was, are you are you suitable to be one of my clients? And you answer some questions of where do you live, how much time a week you've got. I've never heard of you. I've got no interest in it.
Yeah.
If the scorecard was based off of
are you ready to get into the best shape of your life after age 40?
Yeah.
Right. How much weight could you lose in the next 12 months realistically? Answer the scorecard to find out. Is it possible to get lean and strong after 50? Answer this scorecard to find out whether you can do it. So like those sorts of things, which is answering the question that the customer's wrestling with today, and then saying, yeah, it is possible and you'd have to do this, but here's the reality of the...
Yeah, and then fighting back and then the scorecard. Let's actually talk about the scorecard itself. So the landing page is going to have it's going to basically mirror the traffic, right? If you put it on if you sponsored a podcast to get traffic, or if you've got a meta ad or you got something, the landing page is going to mirror that. But it's also going to tell them the value that they're going to get back as well.
Yeah, so a good landing page has a hook.
Yep.
So an opening line that hooks their attention. And then it has credibility, why you should listen to me. Then it has a value proposition. If you do this, you'll get this. And then it has a call to action. Now start the scorecard, now start the quiz. So those are some of the key elements that a good landing page should have.
And the actual questions themselves, I know you always talk about 9 to 12 is the sweet spot. How would you split that up in terms of, I always say, and people who watch my videos, they'll know that I always say that you want some questions for me.
Yep.
If I'm making a scorecard for my business, some for me and some for you.
Yep.
How would you split it up and what sort of data would you be asking?
My favorite 15 questions to ask. So my favorite is now 15 questions, and it's 10 questions that are what I would call the best practices. So the best practices are you doing this? Have you done this? Do you have this in place? Have you got one of these? Are you using this software? Are you, so it's all basically, are you following the best practices? Are you doing all of these things? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, are you doing those things? And then the 5 questions that I add to that to make it up to 15 is which best describes your current situation, and give them a little choice of 3 or 4. Which best describes the desired outcome you want to achieve in the next 90 days? Give them 3 or 4 things. Which best describes your biggest struggle or your biggest obstacle or what you've tried that hasn't worked? And which best describes the solution you think would be most suitable for you?
I think.
And then the final one, the 15th question is there anything else you want me to know? That is an unbelievably magic question. Is there anything else you want me to know? Randomly, and people don't have to fill that one in, but randomly when people fill it in, they say the most outlandish things. So they will put in there, I've got a budget of 45,000 and we need to spend it by the end of the month or we lose it. And it's like, okay, thanks for telling me.
I'm on the phone. That's the whale that comes through. I'm on the phone.
They'll say,
we have one of them.
Yeah. They'll put in, I've already read your book and I know that I want to buy from you.
They just don't know what to buy yet.
Yeah. But like that, people will use that for some reason. After answering the first 14 questions, they will use that as an excuse to say this to make sure I buy. Like it's amazing. It's an amazing question.
What you've also described there is you're actually educating the prospect about their pain throughout the questioning. So you're educating what you said there, but they don't know they're in pain sometimes. With questions like that of like, where are you? Where do you want to be? They might not even know where they want to be is like suitable.
Possible.
Yeah, exactly. I said, like, people who sailed across the Atlantic back in the 1800s or 1900s, they didn't know they were in pain until they saw a jumbo jet go across their head for the first time. And they're like, I didn't even know that you can get there in 9 hours as opposed to getting there in 6 weeks.
Yep.
So those questions can actually help build them up. So someone's they've done all of the questions. Our data suggests if they get to question 3, they complete it.
Yep.
And we've built thousands. And that's quite like the first 2 questions are obviously really important. If they get to question 3, they're going to complete it. Do you think people go wrong with trying to make the sale on the results page?
Yeah, the results page, if you really want to, perfect scenario is that the sale is the appointment. So I always, when I've grown any of my businesses, I've always used LAPs, leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. And it's lead into appointment, appointment into presentation, presentation into sale. And where people always go wrong is lead to sale. And people just don't take that jump. So leads, books, the purpose of a lead is to book an appointment. Purpose of an appointment is to have a presentation, present the value of what you do, and then handle objections and make a sale.
And that could be over what time period?
Well, it could be really quickly. Like a lead could come in now and I could pick up the phone and say, can we make a time to talk? And they could say, actually, I can talk this afternoon. Great. If you'll have 45 minutes, I'll be able to take you through everything. Can we jump on Zoom and I'll show you some visual slides and that sort of stuff. You then show the visual presentation. Here's what we do. Here's the timeline. Here's what's involved. Here's what it takes. It's $3,500 a month and it includes all of these things. And you can cancel at any time and blah, blah, blah. Great. What about this? What about this? What about this? Yeah, let's go ahead. So it can happen pretty quick.
The amount of, obviously we see a lot of sales calls coming from ScoreApp on the partner page. And one of the first questions I ask is, how long have you known about ScoreApp or Daniel? A lot of them obviously know who you are. Some of them, I found about them this week. I'd say 90%, I've known about Daniel for 2 years. I did one of Dent's programs back in the day, and I'm now taking the action to really, come through. But I always say to them, like, that's been 2 years you've known about it, and now you're only buying today, and you want to take someone from there to there in 8 minutes?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It can happen quick if they're problem aware and they suddenly get the solution they're looking for, and if they really want that thing solved. To give you real data, in most of my businesses, the average time from lead to sale is something like 4 or 5 months. And the reason that it's an average is some people buy quick and then some people come back to you a year later.
And do you think the more expensive it gets, the longer that can be?
No, because if it's very expensive, you're dealing with high-end clients, and in many cases, look, it's funny. My sister runs a high-end agency, and they regularly have corporate clients who say, we have a budget, we have to spend it this quarter, we can spend 120,000. Can you draw us up an invoice and then we'll sort out the details later? It regularly happens. Like, she literally gets people say, you're already an approved supplier on our list. Can we just get the 120 grand sent through and we'll then...
And there'll be people watching this who sell something for £100, $100 a month going, I have to send 10 chasers to every single client.
Yeah.
And I think the second you go bigger, you just get so much more exciting because they're back quicker.
Yeah, and this is the thing. People buy things based upon what it means to them, not the actual objective. There is no objective price. All pricing is subjective. So if I asked you, is a Ferrari an expensive car? You might say yes or no. If you've just sold your company for 12 million, then spending 200 grand on a car feels like an appropriate way to celebrate. It's no big deal. You don't have to go into debt for it. It's just a fun thing, and you'll buy it for 200 grand. You'll sell it later for 180, and it's cost you 20 grand to have a Ferrari for 2 years. Like, no big deal. If I went to a Starbucks employee and said, would you go into a 20-year mortgage for a Ferrari? It's a stupid idea, right? It's very expensive. So price is not at all, like, no price is objective. It's always subjective.
It's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So is there any frameworks that you like to use when you're looking at, that nurture time? And I know you're always talking about contact points and the 3% of people ready to buy now. Like, what does that
Yeah,
kind of
actually,
look
that's
like?
a really good point, because it's not so much the amount of time in weeks or days or years for people to buy. And actually, the research talks about 1174. So 1174 is people notice you for the first time when they see you for the 11th time. So they need repeat just little noticing, like just notice you exist. If you were to pop up on my Instagram reels 1 or 2 times, I kind of flick through, I see you, but I flick again. If you pop up 11 times, especially within a 90-day period, then I really start to clock you. Like I start to probably recognize your name, your face. I start to remember what else you talked about earlier. So people notice you for the first time properly when they see you for the 11th time. It's one of the reasons I tell people post every day on social media, because if people are seeing every second post, it takes 22 posts for them to kind of go, okay, I get you. It's a month of posting for them to go, okay, yeah, I've clocked you. I figured out what you do. And then the next piece of research says that people warm up and really trust you between 2 and 7 hours. So I believe in the idea that every business should have 2 to 7 hours worth of long form content available if someone wants to run down the rabbit hole. If I was running a guitar manufacturing business, I would somehow find a way to have 2 to 7 hours worth of content about that guitar. If someone wants to watch 2 to 7 hours about how it's made and who's playing it and why it's the way it is, if they want to run down the rabbit hole, there's 2 to 7 hours. The reason I often recommend entrepreneurs write a book is because that is 2 to 7 hours worth of content right in the book. If someone reads the book, they're gonna have clocked up that time. Going on a podcast, you only have to be on 2 podcasts, and that's 2 to 7 hours worth of content available. So every business needs to have 11 touch points for people to notice you, 2 to 7 hours worth of content available if they want to run down the rabbit hole. And then 4 is there are 4 ways that I can signal interest. So it could be that I could go to your website and fill in a lead form and just an expression of interest, or drop you an email. That's easy and it's there. I could fill in an online assessment and take an assessment. I could join your social media group or your social media account and signal interest there and DM you, or I could join a discussion group. I could go onto a wait list. So I always make sure, when I'm working with businesses, the bare minimum is that there's 11 touch points, 2 to 7 hours, and 4 ways to signal interest. And it's like all of that's in place. When people complain, oh, I'm not getting enough leads and all that, it's like you don't have 1174 in place, so don't complain. Let's reevaluate after you've got at least 1174 in place. Now, when people buy fast, it's often the case that in their own time they've done the 1174.
Yeah, and they're familiar.
Yeah, so for you it feels like they bought quick, but for them they've done their research. They just did it online without you being aware. When people buy slow, it's often that they came onto your radar early in the journey, and over the course of a few months, they've done their 1174 research, and now they're ready to buy. It seems like slow to you, but actually they were just going through that journey themselves.
And does that then kind of go straight into that 97-3 rule that you have, that the 3% of people who are, like, you have to be, even if they're, they might fill in a scorecard, 3% of people are going to buy, they're ready to buy. But that 97% of people, you can almost speed up that process by getting them through and just seeing you again and again and again.
Exactly. If you just give people the new, like for example, one of my businesses, we scaled really, really big just by sending them a book in the mail, and they would read the book and then that would be it, they'd buy. So just almost a horrible term, but force feeding that 2 to 7 hours.
I call it owning the data. Because if I'm paying to put, like you've just said there, right? If let's say I do an ad, you might see it once, you don't click on it. The second you click on it, I have you pixel, meta pixel. I could target just you. I could do a landing page just for you. I could put an ad going, it's your name, Daniel Priestley. Click on this ad. It's impossible for you not to click on the ad, right? Click on the ad. I can then meta pixel just for you. Every single morning, the first thing you see, if I paid enough money, the first thing you see on Instagram be my face. And that's what you can now do. So when you own the data, like people think it's contact email address, it's not now. It's follower. It's subscriber. It's if you have their metal pick, especially on scorecards, you can integrate the pixels. We have a specific pixel that gets people who start scorecards but doesn't finish them. And it's an ad of me going, you started the assessment, why don't you come back and finish it? It's going to be in your email search list. You can have it. We can then have an ad which goes out to people who finish it but haven't booked a call yet. You've done the assessment. You've got the results. Like, what is it in that you're most motivated to fix? And that's what you imagine telling you that 25 years ago. Do you think you'd have got here quicker?
Oh, even if you had have gone 2019 and said that in a few years' time, AI is going to write half the content for you, come up with script ideas, come up with your ideal customer personas. I mean, I knew a bit about AI, but I just wouldn't have believed that this is possible. Yeah, of course. Would I like it was so hard 25 years ago and so expensive. You had to pay for so many eyeballs, and if anything went wrong, that was it. If they just got distracted, they were about to respond to your ad, but then someone, came into the room and started talking to them. That was it. You lost that person. There was no pixels.
Yeah, you just never see them again. So like the final topic I want to go through, and it's something that I've heard you speak about a lot. But before we get there, we had our first prospect come through an AI search engine the other day. Someone was Googling, someone was talking to ChatGPT, and it's like, look, I've seen quiz funnels. I want to use it. Like, how can I implement it? And we were recommended as number one. They came through that solution. I've heard you go big on AI ads. I'm not really talking about the actual AI systems, but AI ads. And I saw that I think OpenAI released something about it the other day.
Yep.
Do you think this is a goldmine, or do you think it's going to be over?
It was certainly a goldmine in Facebook and Google. So when Google first came out, they didn't have ads, and then they did Google ads, and you could pay to be on ads, and it was pennies to get leads. And then Facebook did the same. They didn't have ads, and then it was pennies for leads. The reason this happens is because most ad spend is big companies like Disney and Nike and like all of that sort of stuff. They're very, very slow to get started. So like essentially when AI ads comes out, the really big companies will then have a meeting to discuss it in the first 3 months that it's available. And then they will put together an exploration page, like document that will get circulated around the team. And then they will start saying, okay, we're going to allocate some of budget from here to here. And that will be the next 3 months. And then they'll run some campaign testing, and then that'll be 3 months. And then in year 2, then they go, okay, it worked, so now we'll ramp it up. So almost year 1 of any new innovation is just corporate figuring out whether they want to do it or not, taking some tests, where they're going to get the budget from, and they move super slow. Like it gets talked about, and 3 months later, the next step happens, and talked about, and 3 months later. So it's so slow. So for the first 12 months of any new innovation, small businesses can rush in and just start using it nice and cheap, and then the big companies come in and bid the prices up. So yeah, for the first 12 months, expect that AI ads, once it goes live, will be a goldmine.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready to go.
The budget's stage where that button
push
comes
the
in,
button,
click it. So Dan, what's next for you in the next few years?
So I'm really passionate about surfing these waves. The world is changing fast, and I'm excited about it. I actually think that more intelligence is a good thing. We're going to level up as a humanity. Billions of people are going to get access to healthcare that they never could. Billions of people are going to get access to legal representation that they never had access to. A farmer in rural Africa is going to have access to all sorts of intelligence that previously they never had access to. And the world is going to level up as a result. And if there were aliens sitting out in space looking at Earth, going, oh, look, they've just discovered a way to synthesize all intelligence and make it freely available to every person in their pocket. I would say the aliens would bet that that's a good thing. So I'm excited about the future. I'm excited to build companies that are in line with those trends. I'm excited to help people to go through the change that's coming. I can't control the change. I can't slow it down. So I'm basically saying, let's go surf. Let's surf the waves.
And I think obviously people are very scared about working less, which is a very crazy thought. But ultimately, all of this stuff is just going to lead to working less. It's going to lead to more lifestyle businesses, and I actually think it could lead to more lifestyle employees.
Yeah,
when you don't have to be there.
Yeah, you can do, well, yeah, exactly. I'm seeing this in my companies. We have people who live and work from anywhere, and they travel around, and they're owning their result that they're in control of. They work when they want to work, so long as they're getting the results and hitting their targets, and they're leveraging AI. I think it's not even working less. It's just working very differently. It's just not being a cog in the machine. It's like being someone who's magicking stuff into existence. It's like rather than thinking of work as work, it's like think of work as conjuring cool stuff into the world. And it's like your job is now to magic stuff.
And you've got help.
Yeah, and everything you need's around you. So, have fun with it.
Cool. Well, thank you for taking the time. Very enjoyable, obviously learning a lot. If you do want to try ScoreApp out, there's going to be a link below. I think you get the first month free.
There's always a special offer running. Yeah,
there's always a special offer running. Give it a go. Try and get your first leads. And if you need any help, you know where to come and find. So thank you for watching.